Hello, hello, hello. I see people rolling in. If you can hear me, just type yes, I can hear you, or hello, or anything in the chat for me, please. If you guys can hear me, let me know. Oh, perfect, 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 perfect. All right, so I'm going to give a few minutes before we get started for additional folks to join the call. We'll give 2 to 3 more minutes and then we'll kick off, okay? All right, guys, I want to get started. I want to be respectful of time. Can you guys still hear me? I want to do an audio check. Let me know if you guys are still able to hear me. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so thank you for joining me tonight, guys. Are you able to still see my screen? Is it still sharing? I love technology, you guys know that. Okay, hold on, let me check, see what's happening here. All right, there you go. What about now? Okay, perfect, perfect. So guys, I want to kind of talk to you guys a bit about kickoff calls and what they are. And a lot of us as project managers may have went through some form of kickoff call, and some of us may have not. So before we jump into the fun stuff, how many of you have not done a kickoff call? We got a few people on the call. Don't be shy, guys. Don't be shy. As you guys know, when you attend my webinars, they're always interactive. Okay. All right. So not too many. Yes, I posted a kickoff call before. I've participated in one, but never led. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so a kickoff call, you probably have heard it. If you studied for your PMP, you definitely have heard kickoff call. If you're a project manager or been around a project, you probably have heard kickoff, right? So I kind of want to talk about the purpose and the reasoning behind it and really bring it back to how it can be a very valuable thing for you as you move forward. Before we completely jump in though, I want to thank you guys for joining. Of course, you know, I'm always happy to see such a great turnout whenever we have an event, and I really appreciate all your support. So I want to thank you guys up front. It's extremely valuable and I don't take it for granted. Also wanted to talk to you about some other things as well we got going on here at the Project Maverick. Wanted to get your feedback on it. You know, I value your feedback. And I also am asking you guys if you can stay to the end of our session. I'll be ample of time. I know we went a little over for the last session, so I'll try to be cognitive of my time. And I'll be giving out free gifts because anyone who's attended my webinar knows I give free gifts and I love that part of the webinar. Okay, so stick around to the end. And let's go ahead and jump on in. So yeah, a couple of you responded and said, hey, I've either been in or around a kickoff, right? Do we know what is the purpose of a kickoff? Let me know in the chat. No wrong answers here. Planning, okay. Overview of goals, okay. To begin project planning or introductions, overviews, to define the who and the what, the when of the project. Okay, okay. Stakeholders launch awareness. Yep. Yeah, I like all the responses here. Intro, review, project objectives, etc. Okay, yep. Expectations, make sure you know about the job. Yep. Yeah, I love the responses here. Essentially, if you look at the trend in your responses, right, it really is the foundation of the project, right? It sets the tone for your project. It provides and lays out the framework essentially, and essentially how you're planning to move forward with complementing this business need, right? And it's really there to provide that transparency with, I love the stakeholder word, right? Give the stakeholders an understanding of what we're doing, why we're doing, how we're doing, and where we'll move from there. Okay, so the topics we'll talk about here from an agenda standpoint, we'll talk about hosting a successful kickoff with your client, setting a project up for success, and then some recommended tools. So let's keep moving. So upon hosting a kickoff call, we talked about it being kind of that foundational thing, that foundational item you want to have in place, right? We already understand the business need. We understand potentially any contracts that may have been put in place. We understand that we are now the project manager, if you've been assigned as the project manager. And so now we need to talk about, what does that mean? So we need to do some preparation research, right? Determine why we need the meeting and make sure we're documenting stuff along the way, because we're going to extract that information and build out an agenda. Okay. And we're also going to build out some visual aids that'll help us along the way while we're on our meeting. Okay. So I know some people don't like to, present, and I know some people are not comfortable with presentations, but as you know, as a project manager, you communicate quite a bit, right? And this is not your first point of communication. It's the initial points of communication, right? So how many of you are uncomfortable? Let's talk transparently for a minute. How many of you are uncomfortable communicating from a presentation standpoint? Dawn, I see you. Yep. Izzy, you said I love it. Wow. Great. I'm fine with it. It depends. Danelle, what does it depend on for you? Comfortable with it now. I talk for a living. I'm better at presenting than emails. Okay. All right. Yeah, the emails can be a little tricky. Yeah, so just thinking about, just getting back to it, I totally agree. Like, it just depends. Some days I'm great at it. Some days I'm not. I think it just really depends on the topic and how comfortable I am with the topic. And really, sometimes I psych myself out. And knowing that I have to do my job really allows me to move forward, right? Like, I just forget about the fear and just understand that I have some important information and I need to give it to my audience, and they really don't have time for me to be nervous at the moment, right? So Also, I prepare and do my research, because some of that nervousness, some of that being uncomfortable is really, you haven't done your research or you're not prepared, right? So make sure you do that. Like, determine clearly, like, what is the purpose of the meeting? Why are we here? What are we meant to do? And make sure that you're clear on that. Always have an agenda. Do not kick off a meeting, period. Not just the kickoff meeting. As a PM, always have an agenda, because your job is to lead the meeting. You're facilitating and navigating the meeting, right? And so you want to be very clear. And there's been times when I've been on calls like, hey guys, I want to be respectful of time. Let's get back to the agenda, right? So make sure you have that agenda, make sure it's clear, and make sure you share it with your stakeholders. Okay, make sure you're providing next steps as well for your meeting as you're closing the meeting out. Because again, you're navigating the meeting, right? You don't want it to go all over the place and out of control. So make sure you're very clear on next steps from here and what we're doing. Make sure you open with a strong greeting too, right? Hello, how are you? You know, we're here because of A, B, and C, and this project is going to complement EDF or whatever that looks like, right? So people are not confused as to why you're there. And practice your presentation. I have created my own presentations for a very long time, and I still practice them. And I put the content together myself. All right, so let's talk about it. When you're hosting a successful kickoff, right, with your clients, action items you want to make sure you have on your list. I need you to take out your pen and paper, guys. Write this down. Make sure you're setting up your project. Make sure you're identifying your stakeholders. And what is a stakeholder? Anybody who has taken a PMP class with me should be able to answer this question in 5 seconds flat. What is a stakeholder? Let me know, guys. It's anyone who has a vested interest in the success of your project. Okay? Exactly. Anyone who has a vested interest in the success of the project. And all stakeholders are not always active and outspoken and there every day. Some could be kind of background, but they're still considered a stakeholder because they're affected by the delivery of your project. All right, and then make sure you identify your project management tools, right? We all need tools in our industry to be great. I am all about tools making my life as easy as possible. Now, they can't replace me as a personal person, but they can assist me in being great, right? So make sure you identify tools that'll help you get through your meeting and present your stuff accordingly. So I'll give you some suggestion on tools. There's so many tools to look at and use. I'll give you some suggestion. We'll probably add to that list on this call. We always do. But make sure you have those tools available. And then make sure you host the kickoff call. Like, you as the PM should be hosting the kickoff call. I've been on kickoff calls where there's like 57 hosts, right? And I'm like, who's leading this thing? Like, who's the leader? You are there to facilitate the call. Now, it's okay to have your team assist you with presenting. Like, I've done that and done it very well, actually. It shows cohesion with the team. But you should be setting the tone, right? Intro them in, greet, be clear about what we're doing and why we're doing. We'll talk about a little bit more in terms of what you should be covering on the kickoff. But make sure you know that you are the leader. You've been chosen for a reason. So you host the kickoff call. All right, so a couple of things. When you're hosting your kickoff call, you need to have some key elements in there in your presentation. In order to have those key elements, you need to understand the process, okay? So we have a few processes that take place, and this is recognizing the waterfall type of approach. Of course, with Agile, it's a little different. We don't even really do kickoff calls. We take a different approach. So let's, for the purposes of this call, suggest that we're looking at waterfall. Okay, So while you're kicking off, you need to explain to the people why you're there, right? What are we fixing? What kind of business need? What caused us to need a charter to then say we need a project? So we talk about that more so in the initiation phase, right? This is where I say document and do your research, because you can pull that information into your presentation and say, hey, we understand the reason for this, and this is what we're going to do to fix it. And we've been going through the next step, which is planning, to say, hey, we're trying to get an understanding of what the goals and the objectives look like, so we can get an understanding of what the deliverables will be as well. And then you can start outlining tasks accordingly. You also want to start thinking about what the execution phase will look like, right? How do we implement to resolve? And you're not technically there yet because you're just kicking off, but that doesn't mean you don't start thinking about what it is and understanding what it is. Okay. And then, of course, your monitoring of the project and establishing those criteria. You can pull some of that information into your kickoff to say, hey, here's how we monitor. Here's how we're planning to monitor, right? Very high level, because at kickoff level, we don't have a lot of detail in most cases. Some cases we do, but let's make the assumption we don't have a lot of information. So here's how we usually, from a standard perspective, implement our projects. And here's how we monitor them. And then when we're done with doing that, we essentially close them out by making sure we check off all of the items and make sure we've done what we were supposed to do from a deliverable standpoint, make sure the client is happy, all processes and documentation has been closed out, uploaded into your repository, and then all stakeholders will be notified. Right? Now you're speaking to them and telling them, okay, this is what I expect to see as you're implementing your project. You're setting the tone up front. Does that make sense? Okay. One key thing also that I find very helpful, and it's a saving grace, okay? While you're doing your research and making sure that you're clear on what we're doing, how we're doing, and that's also how we're monitoring, how we're closing, and how we're executing. One piece you can bring into your kickoff to set the tone is scope. Like, this is the scope. Here's what we understand the scope to be. And here's what we understand to not be in scope as well. Why is that important? Because as you move forward in projects, as we know, projects are short-term. They should have a beginning and an end. And short-term does not mean 2 months. Short-term just means it has a beginning. It's a temporary endeavor. It has a beginning and an end. So sometimes you can be on a project for 2 years, 5 years, right, before it ends. People forget, okay? Sometimes even when you're kicking off a project, people are not really sure, you know, what are you doing? Like, what's the purpose? This is when you need to start talking to them about the scope. This is what the work is and only the work, okay? This is any assumptions that we have and any risks that we will be identifying. We'll talk about that in a minute. Does that make sense, guys? That's very important. That has saved me a lot of money from a budget perspective, talking about that up front. Yep. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about some tools. And these are just a few, guys. I mean, over the years, I've used a whole bunch of them. I'm sure you have as well. But for task-oriented items, right? If you're talking to someone about, hey, here's the tools we use to keep our stuff together from a project perspective, you can essentially create a quick slide and say, hey, we use them as project. We share our project plans with you on a regular basis. You can expect to see a status call on Thursday. The status of the project will be delivered in the project plan on Friday, along with the overall report, Friday by 12. And why is that important? Because people expect a recurring behavior, right? So if you meet every Thursday at 12 p.m. for your status call, and then your status report is sent every Friday at 10 a.m., right? Along with your project plan, it's now a behavior. And the moment you don't do that, someone is going to call you out. Also, you set the tone with understanding where your project is at all times, right? What you're supposed to know. But you need to first set the tone on the schedule and the expectations, right? So saying that to say, there are a couple of tools you can use, and there are a million more. Task-oriented tools that you can use, MS Project, everyone probably has used that or seen it. Smart Sheets as well, guys. You can use it too, highly effective. Asana is another one I've used as well. Yeah, Monday.com, absolutely, use that one too. For workflows, Trello is one you can use. Also Jira, if you've used that one in the past, you'll probably see that more in the Agile space, but it's really good with identifying workflows and being clear about stories and where we're going. Yep. Procore. I haven't heard of that one. Huh. Hey, Cass, can you take note of that application? I'll look into it. Michelina, I haven't heard of that one. Jira Monday, yep. Use that one a lot. Collaboration tools you can use too. Basecamp, Active Collab, just to name a few. Time tracking, Paymo, ADP, QuickBooks, Chronos. I mean, there's a million. And if you're looking for something for very high level milestones, quick draw up, you can use Liquid Planner. Aha, it's another one you can use. Yeah, Smart Sheets is pretty good. I'm starting to like it more. When it initially came out, it was a little concerning for me, but it's now starting to mimic pretty much most of what you can do in MS Project. And I really like it because you can integrate it like with dashboards and integrate the team a little bit easier than you could with MS Project. So I'm playing around with both of them. And what I also like is you can transition your plans from each application to another. So like if I'm working on Smart Sheets, I can pull that plan out completely and put it into MS Project and not have to edit it too much. So yeah, I'm really liking Smart Sheets. Yep. And more organizations that are using it, it's a lot cheaper to use as well. Yeah, so these are just some of the recommended tools, guys. There are a million, trust me. We can go all day with the list of tools you can use, but if you're looking for a place to start, definitely take a look here. And then I wanted to help you out with a quick project checklist. And then I'm gonna go a little bit further into the checklist as well, right? So things you need to have in place for a successful kickoff. You wanna make sure your project manager is appointed. At this point, from a PMI standpoint, they should definitely be appointed. Okay. Now, real world may be a little bit different. You may be getting pulled in, right after the kickoff. It just depends on the organization and the resource availability. But for success, we're working in success and strategy here. The goal is to have the PM pulled in prior to. Why? Because they're going to be leading this kickoff in most cases, and they need to understand all of these elements very clearly to be successful. We want to make sure we have a clear project objective. Okay, clear project objective. We don't work in ambiguity on projects. That's a good way to have a project that goes out of control, right? So the objective should be clear here. If not, make sure it's clear. You want to also make sure you're talking with your stakeholders, getting approval. You should be looking and identifying stakeholders from the beginning from the time that you are assigned to the project. It's one of those initiating things. Right now, at the time that you kick off, you may not have a lot of stakeholders, right? Because it's a progressive elaboration thing. So we may have a few at the time of the kickoff. By the time you get to the middle of the project, maybe you have a few hundred more. That's okay. Identify the ones that you know, make sure it's clear, and make sure you're presenting that accordingly on your kickoff. Make sure that the scope is clearly defined for the project as well. Okay, we want to know what is the work and only the work. And if you get really good at it, have another slide to say, this is what we understand the work not to be as well, right? So people can look at that thing and say, oh, wait, but I thought the scope was supposed to be this. And that's what you want to hear. You want to make sure we're all on the same page. Why are we getting their approval? So remember, who are your stakeholders at this point? At the point of your kickoff? Yep, could be the client. Who else? Yep, could be the sponsor. Right. So we don't want to go off in this little bubble and create what we think is the scope and what we think should be the work that we're doing, what we think the structure should be. We want to make sure we're all on the same page, right? So here's what I understand it to be. Are you an agreement stakeholder? Are you an agreement client? Are you an agreement sponsor, right? Because now we're working together and now we all have skin in the game. So we can't say that no one was aware, because we're having a set of the tone meeting. And that's really the purpose of the kickoff, right? To say, hey, we're about to get to work. We're about to knock this thing out of the park. Before we do that though, I want to make sure we're clear. This is what we're doing, right? This is how we're going to do it. Here's the time frame we think it'll take to do it. Here's your team that's going to do it, right? Like we're getting really clear. Perfect, perfect. Not just the assumptions, more than that. Assumptions as well, but more than that, everything that we know. Okay. So where did I leave off? Defining the scope of the project, identifying your major risk. No problem, Don. Identifying your major risk. You should have at least one risk. Okay, at least one risk. There's something that potentially could happen. If it does happen, what do we do? You should be creating your risk register from the time that you have been assigned to your project. If a project is being transitioned to you, that the prior PM or whoever was handling the PM work should have a risk register. And you should be very transparent about what that looks like. And it's okay to say it on the kickoff call. To say, so far, based on our research, we understand that here's a risk. If we show that risk is to happen, here's what we are going to do. And we'll continue to watch it and monitor it from here. Okay, so you want to make sure you identify your major risks. You want to establish your deliverables as well. Okay, you want to be clear to say, hey, you know, in 2 weeks, we're going to deliver a project plan. In 3 weeks, we're going to deliver a requirement document. In 4 weeks, we're going to deliver, I don't know, a solution doc. Like let it be known up front, right? This is what's going to happen. Now, some things may shift, right? As you fine tune a baseline your project plan, that's fine. But at least the stakeholders know that you're thinking about it, right? We know that these things need to happen, stakeholders, right? Or team, right? We're going to be delivering these things in. You should expect them around this time. Here's who is going to go to, because I'm going to be creating a communication plan to tell you how I will be communicating. Okay. Also, create your project team if you don't already have one. Be clear about who those team members are. Like Warner Davis is the project manager. John Doe is going to be the architect, and whoever like be very clear about those roles so nobody is questioning it, right? This is new to some people as well. They don't know. They're just assuming, right? So you define and tell them what the roles will be very clearly. I would actually suggest you have a slide for it and talk through it and have them intro themselves in, because this allows them to be introduced to the team, warm up to who the team will be, and feel comfortable not just talking to you, but also talking to the team members. Okay. And then finally, go ahead and set up your project kickoff meeting with those items ready. Is this helpful so far, guys? Questions? Cool. Absolutely. We forward think here at all times. All right. So really quick, okay? Your project kickoff meeting checklist. This checklist is a little different, right? Because now we're going past a little bit more digging into, in my opinion, and I'm going to tell you why. So I'm telling you to create a project briefing and kickoff meeting presentation with all of the information that we've talked about so far, right? You should essentially have probably a tab for each one of the topics we've talked about at the very least. Okay. Let's be clear. Hold on. I'm going to ask a question before I say this. Who is creating the project kickoff deck? Who is creating the project kickoff deck? Okay, me, the PM, the PM, project manager. Okay. That's the PM coordinator. I've created them. So sometimes the PM coordinator who's heard. Okay. Okay. Let me ask the question differently. Do you create the presentation all by yourself? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, office sponsor. Oh no. I like this collaborate. Okay. Yeah. You're responsible for the overall deck. Exactly. I like it, Keisha. You're responsible for the overall deck, right? So it getting complete, and you're even adding content there as well. But the ones that I've seen that have been really great, right, is that collaboration with your team, right? Where they're giving you the feedback. So like, remember the team members, I said, identify those people, even sometimes have them intro themselves in, give them a slide to talk about something they're expert in. Like my architect will talk about how we're going to execute the architectural diagram and the solution. That's still talking through the kickoff items, right? But that's also, again, we're going back to skin in the game, right? You're not going to just sit on a call and listen to me talk all day. No, we're going to engage. We're going to let these people know we can get this done. We are the right team. Here's why we're the right team. Okay. So yeah, it is. You ultimately, if you're looking at the race, you ultimately are accountable for this thing, right? And you will be contributing, but make sure you're getting collaboration from the team as well. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we want. We want the team to feel like they are a part of the team. Like we can't do it without you. You're not just an addition, right? You're needed, you're required, right? And this is a good way to start doing that at the beginning of the project, right? Like set the tone. So that's what I mean about this thing sets the tone, even without actually saying it, like you're doing it with your team. It sets the tone with the client, and it also sets the tone with your team. Absolutely. All right. So create the project briefing and kickoff meeting presentation. We've talked about that. Set a meeting time and invite those stakeholders. Okay. Invite the stakeholders, even if they say, I don't want to come. I don't want to go. Do not send me an invite. CC them, right? And let them know, hey, listen, you don't have to attend. It would behoove you to be on the call. The call will be recorded. I'll make sure, it's presented to you, or you can have it for presentation if you need it. But I'll just keep it on your calendar just in case your schedule opens up. Okay, because what you don't want is that same stakeholder in a couple of months saying, what project? I don't even know. What do you mean? Like, you guys didn't even say anything to me. No, you want to always keep them engaged as much as possible. Not to the point where it's impeding on their schedule though. Make sense? Okay. Make sure you share an agenda. Again, always have an agenda. Okay. Make sure you share that at least 48 hours before. Even if your presentation is not completely done, which sometimes happen, that's fine. But make sure the agenda is clear. When you set up the meeting, here's the agenda of the meeting, guys. Here's the 6 points we're going to talk about, just so everybody's on the same page. The presentation will follow shortly, or the presentation will be delivered 2 hours before the call. Something like that. So you're setting the tone and it's structured and it's clear. Erica, you said, had that happened to me one time, learned my lesson. Which one? What did you have happen? Okay. All right. Stakeholder didn't want to come to the meeting. Yeah. All your stakeholders are not going to want to come to the meetings, especially because we've gotten into a behavior to meet just to meet, right? So they're a little scared. So can you blame them in some cases? But also they're busy. Like you have some people who are just busy. They're on planes, they're moving around. They don't have the time. So, it's your job to understand the level of engagement of your stakeholder. Understand, is it that, or is it just they just don't want to be involved in the project? Is this thing replacing them? That's fine. I just want to make sure I'm still communicating it. Oh, I got you. You said one, he said again, no idea. Yeah, that's why you got to over communicate. Love those scenarios. Okay. So share the agenda. We talked about that. When you meet, make sure you take notes. Okay. Meet and take notes. Some PMs have coordinators that are available to take their notes. I say, even if you're in that scenario, take your own notes. I've been in situations where I have a coordinator, the notes are nowhere close to what they should be, and now I got to send this out. So just to make sure that I'm on the same page, I take my own notes anyway. It is difficult. I've actually gotten into a position where I'll type the notes right there, like on the call, and share screen sometimes. But it just depends on culture, right? If you can't do that, also record the meeting. That's another option. Like I'll record and then go back, take those notes, and then send those out after the call. Yep. Make sure you share the notes. Any action items. You should not be in a meeting and not have at least one action item. Yep. Recording saved my life. You should not be, let me go back to this though. You should not be in a meeting and not have at least one action item, right? So your job is, while you're taking the notes, I love the agenda, using the agenda as well, because I kind of do that myself. I literally take the topics from the agenda and then I talk about those areas. And then I create a separate section for next steps, action items, or decisions that need to be made. And then I start writing those things down so everybody's clear, the date that we're expecting for that thing to be done or decision to be made, and who owns it. Right? So now you have, you know who to talk to, you know when to talk to them, and you know what you're talking about, right? As a follow-up. Okay, and then schedule any follow-up meetings. You should have follow-up meetings that take place. A good example that I can give is after most kickoffs, we'll have, you know, some follow-up design sessions that need to take place. Or maybe there's some areas that we want to go further into, like talking about the risk that we've defined, right? So we don't want to take up the time on the kickoff call because we have a set amount of time to talk about a specific topic, right? So that we don't negate from the initial topic, you can say, hey, let's set up a follow-up call to talk about those topics in depth. And then another thing you can do from a scheduled follow-up call meeting perspective is you're going to be sharing your communication plan, right? In your communication plan, you should be talking about the recurring meetings that need to start happening now that you've kicked off. You should be having status calls so that people know where you stand on your project. There's not a question, right? So a follow-up meeting could be, hey, here's the recurring status call that's happening, whether that be 30 minutes or an hour, right? Where we're going to talk about what we've done for, you know, since we last met and what we're planning to do next. That makes sense? All right, let me know. What questions do you have so far about what we talked about before I keep going? Or are you guys good? All right, so that's the gist of the project kickoff, right? There are a couple of agendas and templates that you can use as well to kind of get you moving, like a presentation, agenda structure to use. If your organization or your PMO does not already have one in place, there are very many that you can use to keep you in line and also keep the project in line as well. I did want to talk to you guys further about, this is just one piece and one aspect of our cultivator program. If you guys have been on a call with me, you have heard the cultivator program so far. It's essentially how we move forward as Project Mavericks, and we essentially move forward doing it very well, right? And the goal really is to get clear on mapping out what you're wanting to do, and not just mapping it out, but being very strategic about mapping it out and being equipped and making sure you're monetizing accordingly, using your skill sets, using your certification past schooling to move forward and make those multi-six figures that we're always looking for. Okay. Most importantly, who knows our model here at the Project Maverick? Who knows our motto? Thank you, Harvey. GSD, that's right. We specialize in GSD. In fact, it's in our DNA, okay? And the goal is essentially walking in the room, understanding your value and presenting your value to your client immediately. It kind of standing out from the others, okay? And trajecting your career and your goals. So a couple of things I want to talk to you guys about. We have a drinks framework. We're talking about some of the stuff from the drinks framework. The drinks framework kind of goes in, it talks about foundational stuff that you need to know, but it takes you further, right? There's really 6 steps to it, right? Doing the damn thing, project design, that's what we're talking about now. That's only one element of it, really. Understanding how to talk real and understand your resource allocation and budgeting. Initiation as well, because that's important. Making sure everything's polished for your project and planning. Also understanding how to handle risks, manage them accordingly. There are project managers who are hired on just to do risk management. Do you guys know that? And get paid very well. Okay. So, and then keeping calm, stakeholder management. I know we talked about what is a stakeholder, but managing them moving forward, whether you be a person who works at an organization, whether you be someone who is a consultant, whether you be someone who owns your own project management company, and you want to understand how to manage your stakeholders accordingly, we go over that. And then of course, GSD, getting stuff done, right? Implementation and management, and doing it well, really. And so that's our drinks method. And our goal is really to empower you, to empower your clients, right? Because we work on results. That's what your clients care about, right? They hire you on because they want to see results. If you're not producing results, then you're failing, right? No matter how great you think you're doing, if the results are not being produced, then you're failing. And that's the model we have here at the Project Maverick. So we teach you how to do that, how to be experts in your field, using those 6 pillars and framework, and also strengthening your reputation with your clients and influencing them accordingly. So you have that omnipresence. They're coming to you now. So if you're interested, guys, please reach out to my strategist. I have a strategist on my team. All she does is build out strategies for our clients, right? We think about and understand what your goals are, where you're looking to go, why you're looking to go, your time frame, and you essentially become the project, right? As we're getting you to that next step. So if you're interested, looking to understand more about that program, go ahead and click the link. We're dropping it in the chat right now. Click that link, and we can definitely jump on a call and talk further about it. I would be more than excited to have a conversation with you. In fact, I've had 3 so far today. So if I sound winded, it's because I'm literally getting my exercise in for today, okay? So I want to thank you guys for staying on to the end, okay? Staying on to the end. I do want to do some free giveaways because, you know, that's what I enjoy doing, the free stuff, the free stuff. Okay. Of course. So we got 3 free items that I'm going to be giving away tonight. So stick around for another 5 or so minutes, guys, 5 or so minutes. Okay. All right. So we got our pimp bundle method. Okay. Pimp bundle method. That's going to be 4 steps to get you to 5 figures in 90 days. 4 steps to get you to 5 figures in 90 days. Okay. Everyone will get that one. Okay. You should see that link in the chat. So don't leave until you grab that link. Okay. Then we have our ultimate project bundle. Okay. That's going to be 5 templates every PM should have in their playbook, period. Okay. And of course, your playbook should have more than 5, but this definitely 5 things you should have. Okay. I'm going to pick 2 people for this last one. Okay. 2 people for this last one. For the bundle, though, the bundle is typically, we charge for that. I'm actually going to give it away free on this call. Thank you guys for staying for so long. The first 2 people who respond with GSD will be selected, and we will provide you access with, guys, I can't even finish. We'll provide you access. Don said, shoot. We'll provide you access to the Ultimate Project Maverick bundle, okay? So, Cass, go ahead and grab the first 2. PJ, I see you're on 2. Grab the first 2. And then we'll provide you access. You'll get a separate email, and it'll say, hey, Project Maverick has invited you to the Ultimate Project Maverick bundle. You can't miss it. Only requirement there is your information needs to be correct. So there was a couple of people who won last time and they put the wrong information in. And so we couldn't provide them with the free gift. So the information you use for registration needs to be correct to receive that gift. Okay, and then the last one, okay? The last one. I'm giving away 1 free one-on-one session because mama's tired, okay? I've been doing sessions for the last 2 weeks. I am exhausted. But before I leave, I'm taking a trip out of the country in a couple of days. I want to do a free session for you guys for joining this session. Seriously, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for showing up, okay? So the first person that sends strategy, wait, don't send, hold. Donna's ready. Donna's ready. The first person that sends strategy, okay? Strategy to you guys are so funny. I love you guys to death. The first person that's in strategy will win a one-on-one session. My team will reach out to you directly, and we'll get you set up before it's not before I leave, it'll be probably sometime next week. I'll take your call while I'm out of the country. All right, so PJ and Cass, just grab that information to make sure we have all of the info. Guys, it's been a pleasure, seriously. Some of you I know, some of you I don't, but I hope to see you again. We're gonna be doing some fun stuff. I'm gonna be doing a challenge to help you work on some of your branding. That's coming up soon in the next 2 weeks. I'm also gonna be doing another webinar. Hey, any topics you guys wanna hear in a webinar? Type them in the chat now, tell me. Any topics you guys wanna hear in a webinar? Totally open. Okay, if you think of any, type them in the chat, we'll grab them. And change management is a good one. Creating a project plan, yeah, that's a good one. Okay. Yeah, type them in the chat, we'll take a look at them and put them on the schedule. But I have another one coming up in the next 2 weeks. Please attend that one as well. And definitely reach out if you guys need anything before then. I really appreciate you. I can't wait to talk to you again. And we're gonna keep this thing going. So I'm calling it Webinar Wednesdays, okay? And if you drink wine, you can bring your wine with you as well. So it'll be Webinar Wednesdays with a glass of wine or something like that. We're going for the W's, right? WWW or something. All right, so bring your wine. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Take care, stay safe, guys. We'll talk soon, okay? Take care.